Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Mr. Parrish and Adam Palombi looking to tear the roof off here at Jack Edwards Reserve. Giannakopoulos is a name I feel like I'll stumble on today, but hopefully I don't. Otherwise, sounding good?
Yeah, sounds good, man. I'm just going to bump you down a little bit because it was peaking slightly. Go again.
Giannakopoulos, see what I mean? It's going to happen. It's inevitable. I feel like I need to get that out of the way.
It's like a Y sound, like Giannakopoulos.
Giannakopoulos. Just got to break it down.
All right, cool. Happy.
Lovely.
Sorry. A glorious afternoon in Melbourne Southeast at Jack Edwards Reserve. Perennial contenders Oakleigh Cannons face a history-making side in Dandenong City. No side in the NPL Victoria era has ever been promoted and played finals the next season in the top flight. In Victorian football history, they are the first side to do it since Northcote City in 2010. Can Nick Tolios' side pull off another impressive scalp? Oakleigh undoubtedly the favourites, but they haven't beaten Dandy City this season. A draw away at Frank Holohan and a loss against Dandy City earlier in the campaign. So coming up against their bogey side, if they win through, they will play against Avondale in the semi-final, while Dandy City will face South Melbourne. We'll go through the team news. Oakleigh Cannons with 2 changes from the side that defeated Hume City here 3-1 last week. Brendan White drops out and Nick Feely makes a welcome return between the sticks. Asad Kasumovic is back onto the bench with Ollie Kubele having been rested for 2 weeks in a row after sitting on 9 yellow cards for the season. Gets the amnesty this week and comes back into the team. Brodie Boyce, Jordan Hall, Jacob Tratt and Connor Hampson make up the back 4. Cam McGill, Stefan Valentini, Joe Guest and Emlyn Wellsmore in midfield, and Alex Salmon, the joint Golden Boot winner after his brace last week drew him level with Harry Sawyer on 16, starts up top. For Dandenong City, 3 changes to the side that went down 3-0 against Heidelberg, and they did rotate that team to avoid some suspensions. Will Bauer and George Lambatarides were both sitting on 4 yellow cards. They're back in today, as is James Exidius. Ryan Crasto drops out. No Valley Chesnick today. And Jake Noble to the bench. Jordan Hall between the sticks. Stefan Breshevich and Jack Webster holding down the defence with Jackson Lino at left back. Tom Yiannakopoulos in the midfield with Danny Kim. Tim Atharinos on the flank supporting Damien Iaconis up top. My name is Josh Parrish and it's a delight to have Adam Palombi here alongside me this afternoon, but we're going to pause here for a moment's silence. Silence, impeccably observed. My name is Josh Parrish, and I will throw over now to Adam Palombi. Welcome, mate. Huge occasion and a huge crowd still streaming into Jack Edwards Reserve here.
A major honour to be here this afternoon on a glorious Melburnian day. The sun gleaming upon the playing surface, ready to rumble for finals football. Of course, last night in the first elimination finals, Heidelberg, who succumbed to Hume on penalties. And a match full of drama at the Village. What can Oakleigh and Dandy City play out to? The visitors, they're the first ever side to play finals, having been promoted the season prior. It's quite the effort undertaken by Nick Tolios. And what a result could mean for Dandy City today, Josh, it would be something written, you'd think, in football Victoria folklore.
It would be a huge achievement. It already is a huge achievement in so many ways for Nick Tolios and this side to go straight into finals football. And it's their away record that has got them there. 7 wins on the road this season, while Oakleigh have the equal best home record in the competition. So something's got to give today, as Ollie Kubele goes down under the challenge of George Lambatarides. And the Cannons have a free kick in midfield. And short to McGill. Hampson. Oakleigh aside used to dictating terms on their home patch. They've scored first in 8 of their last 10 fixtures in all competitions. Dandenong City have almost matched them for goals this year, but they have conceded a lot more, so it's going to be the defensive effort that will dictate things today, Adam.
Look at the way in which Dandenong City have opted to utilise their attacking arsenal. No Kenny Athiu in the starting lineup. Of course, a player in whom boasts the most goals for them this season, currently on 8. Kenny Athiu and Atherinos had early involvement. He's drifting across from his right side. Had a heavy touch. Now Iconis holds the attack, but we wonder what makings are required today at Dandenong City. And some more King Kenny brilliance from the bench. Yanakopoulos having some influence throughout his performance on the park. They've got many routes to goal, and it's more in whom can find that winning ticket in the raffle. But as you mentioned before, Josh, quite the build-up here at Jack Edwards. Quite the sight to see. There's no excuse not to be out watching some finals football. Beautiful Melbourne sunshine. A long ball forward. Valentini keeping it alive. Brought right towards the byline. He stretches to keep it in. He does well to get beyond his marker. Valentini dips in towards an unusual area in the 6-yard box. And early involvement for the City keeper out of John Hall. You feel today, Josh, will be busy.
It's going to be a tough afternoon for him. He's only kept 4 clean sheets this year. Dandenong City have been an attack-focused team. They've had some high-scoring games. 5-3 recently springs to mind. Home to Port Melbourne, I believe it was. They went down 4-3 on the opening day of the season against Avondale, and that's been a sign of things to come when it comes to this entertaining Dandenong City team. Kubalay. Guest. Great spot to find Stefan Valentini, who loves these 1v1 situations. Not that time, though. He's left the ball behind. And no defending really required from James Exidius. Digs it out. Tratt. Rising uncontested for the header. The ball drops to Danny Kim. Bauer. Goals from a lot of sources this season. Dandenong City haven't had one player who scored in bunches, really. 4 or 5 of them on 6 or 7 goals. Atherinos scored an outrageous goal last time he played here at Jack Edwards. Long distance specialist Tim Atherinos. 3 goals from outside the box this year. Valentini picks off the pass from Webster, but that one's too heavy for Joe Guest, and it's going to trickle through to the Hajduk custodian.
Well, the Cannons, they certainly have many attacking outlets. Players with double digits in terms of goals scored for the season. Joe Guest and Alex Salmon, as you mentioned, has got that personal accolade under his belt. Golden Boot to show, but certainly have all the firepower within their own right. I love the Cannons. It's a rather slow start, you could say, to the game. Nervous finals football. As Valentini running at Webster, the captain wins on this occasion and draws the foul.
Made sure the referee knew about the contact. Jack Webster, such an experienced campaigner. He's been key. English veteran. Multiple titles with the Bentley Greens under first John Anastasiadis and then Nick Tolios, who was parachuted into the 2019 final series at Bentley after Johnny A went to Western United as an assistant and took them all the way to upset Avondale in the grand final on penalties. Jack Webster scored that day in the 1-1 draw that went to spot kicks, and it wasn't just any goal from a centre-half. It was a beautiful chip from an acute angle. So he looks a bit rough and tumble back there, and he can definitely mix it physically, but he's also got a bit of culture to his game as well.
Oakleigh no strangers to this scenario. They climbed to the top of the Somerton finals only 2 years ago against South Melbourne in what was a bloodbath at the Village under the floodlights. A 5-0 win on the grand stage. Managed to keep the majority of those players involved on that faithful day as a core part of their current squad. We wonder the thoughts of those watching along at home, Avondale and South Melbourne. That's really to ponder yet in this contest. There's Boyce. Athorinos providing some duress, but it's Boyce who remains composed. Wellsmore. Lots of patience nursing those in that royal blue. Tratt. And McGlip. See the shape from Dandy City. They're not exactly inviting on Oakleigh to try and infiltrate their defensive half. It's going to require some good interplay between midfield and forward transition. You'd expect, Josh, that the counter-attack perhaps today, the way in which Dandy City will look to capitalise upon, if they can find that quick transition, of course.
Oakleigh very good on the counter as well, if they can win the ball high. It's played through a narrow gap by Thorinos, and then Connor Hampson, I should say, tracking back to intercept.
Valentini, that's rather rare from the Rolls-Royce. He's kicked that right towards the bench, and that's not exactly what he was after, Josh, but that's caught everyone by surprise here at Jack Edwards.
Yeah. Didn't go down too well with the home fans, that's for sure. Xidius with the throw. Getting it back off Yiannakopoulos. Can he keep it? Smart back heel from Xidius. Connor Hampson, I should say. Got Bell in my head.
How could you not? It was one of those beautiful moments provided in the second tier of Victorian football. You're involved heavily, of course, in that, Josh, and I've done all the media rounds, that's for sure. Not a moment you'll be looking to forget. Anyone in particular will be looking to forget.
This is Wellsmore and Boyce involved. Boyce with the early ball. Wellsmore tempting John Hall off his line, who gathers confidently.
Intelligent goalkeeping. Identified that 50-50 pass, which it's either you do or you don't commit. And, well, full conviction. The keeper had to make the claim off his line.
Yiannakopoulos has seen so much of the ball early doors here. Puts it into space for Lino to chase. Danny Kim. Dandy City with plenty of possession so far, but most of it coming in their defensive half. They find a way through this Oakleigh press. Webster playing with fire here. Lambatarides. Webster decides better safe than sorry, and clearance. Well, it worked out well initially for Bauer, but it turned out he'd come back from an offside position. Flag up on the near touchline, and Oakleigh win it back. You can see just how well organised that Cannons press is. They're keeping that defensive line right up as high as they can on the halfway line and just compressing the space out of it.
Suffocating play. Well and truly is. And they have half a sniff. Dandy City, they nearly might have there. Running at full step ahead was Iaconis, and well, it's those half chances that you make off of mistakes from your opposition that are major talking points in a contest of this magnitude. And well, with that heavy, compact play in midfield, you certainly feel like the one mistake could unlock the keys to the door, in which would smash open home for the first goal. But very early stages, of course, but currently this contest, a spitting image of what occurred last night at Olympic Village, where things remained rather tight, rather nervous. Of course, Ngor had to score from downtown. He was basically just inside of his own defensive half to open the deadlock as Dandy City try and lock the Cannons' defence. It's no avail on that occasion. Look how composed they remain with McGlip, who just takes all the sting out of the equation. Fleubelet trying to earn a foul, will play on.
Yanni Zizis had the whistle in the mouth, but paying advantage there as Kuberle managed to spring up from the deck. Valentini vaulting a challenge. McGill. Salmon. To Oakleigh, has Exidius hot in his heels. Jordan Hall. Well, looks most likely to come from a mistake if there's going to be a big chance in this one, and that could be a costly turnover. McGill recovered brilliantly. Joe Guest was in a bit of trouble there, and we don't say that too often. Lino hooks it out wide. Bauer wins the header. Helped on by Danny Kim. It's very well done from Iaconis. And they keep this forward momentum here, Dandy City. They'll decide to slow it down. They do have field position here. Haven't been able to get their centre backs up to halfway too often. This is where they like to unpick teams. But Joe Guess with the work rate to win it back for Oakleigh.
Speaking of work rate, Iaconis on a couple of occasions now has pressed heavily and just bothered the Cannons when in possession. Of course, at the end of that bothersome tenure he's had in the majority of those scenarios, he's just had the ball evade his grasp. But imagine he's able to have it within his full jurisdiction and what the damage he could potentially inflict. It's a bright start for the visitors, you must say. They've come out with confidence. They're trying to play the game on their own terms. Oakleigh, of course, you'd favour has to be those to punch their tickets to the semis, or the prelims rather, but so far that doesn't really symbolise the play, but had to force the clearance perhaps as short throw to Guest. Now Kalubale working it out wide to Valentini, who hasn't exactly had it up the green so far today. Will have possession awarded his way, however.
Nick Tolios out on the edge of his technical area. Not happy with that call. Was thrown in towards the edge of the box, and a chance was brewing until the clearance had to be made. At the expense of what I would say is a corner. Could have potentially been a deep throw, and while you think of the likes of South Melbourne's Max McCullough, that major game, part of his arsenal, where he has those major long throws, and well, to be from the dead ball with the corner. So a chance now for the Cannons. Haven't had too much involvement early on. What can they conjure up from this dead ball? Many lurk in the box. Valentini at the far post. Ball's flung in towards that area. Jordan Hall never taking his eyes off the ball. Oh, he's taken a hanger there. That's a superb grab from John Hall.
Perhaps has that AFL background to his name. That was Charlie Curnow-esque.
He's got the frame for it.
Certainly does. He's a big boy, isn't he? Can't miss him in that fluorescent green goalkeeper kit. He wasn't missing the ball there.
Helped on by Salmon. Breshevich away. McGill winning the contested header. Yannikopoulos up unopposed. Hampson, anywhere will do. Webster. A quick check over his shoulder as Salmon bears down. John Hall clears. Hampson wrestling with Iaconis and winning out, the Englishman. Oakleigh get it back on the deck. Through Brody Boyce. Deft footwork to evade the challenge of Atherinos. Really a natural right back, but that's the position he's made his own, Brody Boyce, since the arrival of Jordan Hall and Jacob Trapp in those central defensive positions. Kubalay. For Guest. Hampson. Lovely touch from Connor Hampson. Can he tee up a teammate? It's straight to the goalkeeper. Well, he did the hard part. Checking inside Exidius and leaving the Dandy City defence in the dust, but couldn't find the run of Alex Salmon in the 6-yard box.
Fine play from the fullback. Just the goalkeeper equal to the task on that occasion as A bobbling ball. Jordan Hall taking no chances. Heads away now to play. So City with a throw-in. Zidias waiting for the movement of those in white. So towards the edge of the box. Iokonis had controlled initially with Kim regaining possession. Zidias back to his captain. He's happy to utilise his keeper. Early on, your analysis, Josh, what can we really dissect about this contest we're witnessing?
Well, there haven't been too many clear-cut chances. Maybe Oakleigh just lacking a final ball down the left a couple of times. They seem to be targeting that flank at the moment. Connor Hampson made some good headway a few moments ago and had the set piece as well, but right now there's a lot of tentative possession between centre-backs for both sides, really, and they're just waiting for a slip or a mistake, and either side's a nip in on the break. Yiannakopoulos directing traffic in front of him. Bauer wanted a free kick off Zizis. He was never going to get it. Oakleigh comes off the shoulder of Wellsmore and somehow managed to control it. Well, Joe Guest with the intended target, but not enough pace on the pass. Oakleigh prompts the run of Boyce from right back. Wellsmore pokes it through, and Boyce couldn't keep it alive.
A decent read by Brecevic in his defensive half to just keep that possession away from Oakleigh on that attack. It's well read by that second player in the centre-half partnership. Of course, Jack Webster's quite the staple to have next to you, and he's got to have some confidence. There was Stefan in that position.
If you just watch Jack Webster, he just embodies the spirit of having the armband on. He's always pointing and shouting and directing his teammates. Such an organiser for Nick Tolios to have at his disposal.
He's almost Sean Dyche-esque, you could argue. No nonsense. Brexit means Brexit. Get the ball out of play. Nothing silly. Send it to your centre-half up top. That's exactly what that's what the keeper's done on that occasion. As Iokonis lofts, all brought to the deck. That's where they look to play. McGlip does so well to absorb the tackle and is fouled. That's rather the complaint towards the official.
Wow. Will Bauer may be fortunate to avoid a booking there. It seemed like a final warning from Yanni Zizis.
As it bobbles off the head of Valentini, it was Wellsmore. Just notice something with the Oakleigh players on both flanks, whether it's fullback or an attack, they tend to have the same haircuts, Josh. Either the headbands or the fades and the short, clean, spiky doos.
I think it's part of the team uniform.
It potentially could be, because a couple of occasions I've confused the right flank with the left. As Tratt.
Maybe it's strategic. You don't want to give away who the opposition's marking.
I'm sure if Esteban Quintas is watching, perhaps trying to cause some confusion for what could be a potential opponent down the line. Of course, there's still some work to do for South Melbourne, as Wellsmore will earn a free kick.
Brecevic just a little late there. Valentini
might have done it again.
Speaking of which, quickly taken free kick, and Lino was back covering his centre back in Brecevic, who is just a little slow getting into position. Well done by Jackson Lino. Lovely touch from Oakleigh, surging into space. Knocks it back for Joe Guest. Wellsmore looking for the back post and just overcooks the cross. Well, Stefan Brecevic, it's probably the biggest game of his career. He's a young budding talent at centre-back, and that could have been a costly error. He was still thinking about the foul he committed, but very smart work from Jackson Lino to just tuck in quickly enough and cover the space that was left. I'm sure Jack Webster would have been in his ear.
How about the drop of the shoulder from Oakleigh in midfield? It's moments like those that lead to the impetus moment. In such a tightly contested battle we're seeing between these two at the moment, as Valentini tried to go through the gates. He was opposing fullback of Zidius. And now it's Hampson with the throw. Trapped. Trying to find the conductor of McGlip.
It's just on a knife edge at the moment, this one. There's been a lot of last-ditch interventions that have prevented the clear-cut chances from falling.
As a chance might be carved out here, it's Hampson. Edge of the box is McGlip. He chips it towards the back post. There's a chance arriving! And it's Wellsmore for the Cannons who fire first in the elimination final. The hosts hit the front. A glancing header at the back posts. You mentioned moments in finals, Josh. A clear-cut one created by the fullback and capped off by the attacker.
Well, it all comes from the forward forays of Connor Hampson. A little step over to tie up his man. Cut back to Cam McGilp, who was free as a bird to measure that cross to the far post. It was a looping delivery, but it had dip and swerve on the back end. And Emlyn Wellsmore was the right place at the right time to power home and give Oakleigh Cannons a deserved lead in this elimination final. They've been the better side on balance, and they have their reward.
Reward, that is tangible. It was a brilliant delivery. How about the cross? The whip was in the conditions, as well as a slight breeze pushing to our left, and against it, still managing to manufacture quite the cross is the crafty work from Cameron McGlip. He was conducting and has an assist to boast for his early involvement.
It's a sweet hit from the third left boot of Cam McGilp, who looked as if he'd overcooked it for a moment. There was so much air underneath it, but it just dipped late. The perfect spot. It's almost impossible to defend a delivery like that.
Something not taught, of course, in the coaching manual. And Nick Tolios, you wonder how his side can respond. They can do so in timely fashion, as wanting to venture down the flank was Zidius. But his adventure had stopped prematurely. He got his baggage. Wow.
Dandy City have the goal-scoring firepower to hit back. They've come from behind in games plenty of times this season. But Oakleigh defending a lead tend to be pretty strong, especially at home. Knocked away by Hampson onto the roof of the grandstand, as you can probably hear.
Reminiscent of the thunder that was heard last night around the grounds and multiple sporting events across Victoria. It's so nice, of course. We'll touch on it a fair bit, but football played in these conditions, a dry surface, allows for those moments to occur, which has gone in the favour of the Cannons as City try and find perhaps their chance of an equaliser. Iaconis, edge of the box. Flag will go up on the offside Lambaridis. They're not getting clear-cut opportunities. They're half ones at that. They're just somewhat throwing up against the wall.
The opportunity is going to be few and far between with the way that Oakleigh defend. They're so disciplined, especially in big games. They really seem to lock in, find another gear, which is a kind of steel and resilience that Chris Taylor has brought to this club that was really historically known for giving away leads. They've done well to shake the Chokley tag in recent seasons. I think 2022 certainly put paid to that. But if you think back to the 2022 Doherty Cup final, there was Nick Tolios in the dugout for the Bentley Greens. They went behind thanks to a Joe Guest goal. Oakleigh led right up until the final 5 or 6 minutes of the game, and then a quick fire double won the cup for the Bentley Greens. So Nick Tolios has engineered more improbable comebacks than this, albeit at his former club.
He's not a man that likes to go according to the script, that's for sure. And he put torch to it on that day as the Cannons with Salmon really could have garnered an opportunity of real tangibility, but it's the goal scorer who couldn't provide the pass required. 26 minutes of play. A Long searching ball forward for Lambaridis. The flag's gone up yet again.
They're so disciplined, central defenders of Oakleigh, the way they hold that offside line. Vast A-League experience between Jordan Hall and Jacob Tratt. They know when to step up. Well, that's a great find from Tratt, but Salmon didn't know anything about it. It came off his heel. Hampson into McGill. Kubalay. Oh, he's put it behind Brodie Boyce. He stops and turns in time to keep it in. Wellsmore, the goal scorer. He's come up with so many important goals this year. Doesn't score many, but when he does, they tend to be either spectacular ones or crucial goals in big games. Salmon for Valentini. He's got 2 in the box to aim for. Wellsmore again underneath it. Jackson Leno comes clear in possession. Lambaridis. Tratt sliding in. Dandy City want a handball there for a prone Jacob Tratt. Oakleigh come forward. Can they capitalise? Guest prods it through, looking for Wellsmore, and it's friendly fire in the penalty area. Stefan Brečević nearly goes through his own goalkeeper and concedes the corner. Dandy City at 6s and 7s. They're still appealing to the referee for that handball shout. But Oakleigh very nearly 2 to the good.
How about the captain on that occasion? Might have had a chance, a half one at that, to generate an attempt on goal, but he remained all but composed, and as you mentioned, 6s and 7s for Dandy City on that occasion.
It's going to be Wellsmore to turn provider this time, off the corner. Outswinger incoming. Oh, it's under hits. Danny Kim should deal with it. Clearing header only drops to McGill though. Wellsmore. Still going Wellsmore. Tried to lift it into the box, but it's deflected out for another corner. Oakleigh are so strong off set pieces. Can Dandy City withstand the barrage? Wellsmore with one arm raised. Again, it's delivered into the near post. Again, Danny Kim clears the danger. Everybody back defending that set piece for Dandy City. Now Salmon running off the shoulder. Flag stays down. Jordan Hall! And somehow his namesake, John Hall, keeps that ball out at the near post. Oh, he was scrambling. That was right on the goal line. I think John Hall got a telling touch. Exidius away. And now Yannikopoulos has to make up the ground. Dandy City just need to take a breath here and recover. Lambaridis has had a disappointing afternoon so far by his standards. Can't connect with his teammate on the far side.
From a neutral standpoint, you look at the visitors, as it's continued on for them, they've had chances to really transition and try and infiltrate this well-structured Oakleigh defence, but they seem to just shoot themselves in the foot as they press heavily. The official does not sound his whistle. It's all clean in his eyes as Boyce wide to Wellsmore. Happy to venture back, and now Jordan Hall. Well, John Hall, you could say his namesake, has the cap on now, trying to keep that sun not being too evasive as the cloud cover has submerged.
Oh, it's difficult to tell whether that struck the arms of John Hall or the post, but I think it was the goalkeeper sprawled already on the deck. He was down already trying to make the initial save. Ended up being blocked. That's a really good bit of goalkeeping. Jordan Hall just needed to lift that a little higher. Really tough on the turn for any player, let alone a centre half a long way from home. It's a beautiful take on the chest from Brodie Boyce. Oakleigh just seem to have stepped up a gear since they've scored. They look in command of this one. Curse of the commentator. Dandy City win it back as soon as I say that. But the attack doesn't last long. Valentini, too quick and too strong for Exidius. Pokes it through for Salmon. Helped on to McGill. Wellsmore, 3 to aim for. And just drifts past everybody and out for a goal kick. But Oakleigh really putting their foot on the throttle at the moment.
In full command are the hosts. Nick Tolios at half-time, he feels, has to have quite the stern chat to his Dandy City contingent. Each time they've managed to enter halfway inside their attacking half, they seem to just lose all composure as the flick on over the top, and nearly a half chance developing. The one part of Iconis' game so far this afternoon has been his heavy press, but there's no real avail for the effort. He hasn't managed, nor has his Dandy City attack, to really just have the ball doing what they require, as Wellsmore has Salmon on for a pass. Back to Wellsmore, they've worked it nicely. McGlip might think about trying his luck from distance, and I feel as if John Hall had his angles covered. There was a brief moment of anticipation. The fault is just wide. And I feel if Oakleigh are to find their second before half-time, they'll be in full command until what could be the final whistle.
They certainly look the more likely. Dandy City have barely troubled Nick Feely. I don't think we've said Nick Feely's name for about half an hour.
Probably to introduce him to the start of the game.
Well, he's been the hero in elimination finals past. We always think back to 2022, that famous night against Heidelberg here. He came up with 2 penalty saves, playing on one leg with a massive hip injury. And was out for the rest of the final series. So Oakleigh had to turn to an emergency goalkeeper.
It's one of those stories you feel like your uncle would tell you that you don't believe.
A tall tale perhaps, but I was there, Adam, and he really did do that. Here's Nick Feely coming to punch. Oh, and Atharinos. Well, if there's one player who has license to shoot from anywhere, it's Tim Atharinos. That shot cops a little deflection on the way through. So good from range. That's why they have him perched outside the box for those set pieces. Just going to provide the short option here. Left-footed delivery into the near post and off the woodwork. Dandy City inches away, and Danny Kim's effort is high into the afternoon sky, and Nick Feely manages to claim. That was Lambatarides, who's barely had a say in things so far, but was first to the ball at the near stick, and the woodwork is still rattling.
What a way to get himself more involved in the contest that would have been for Dandy City. That would have certainly changed the script. Of course, as mentioned before, their manager likes to burn those, as prompted Oakleigh to search for. It's a fine pass to unlock Wellsmore. Isolated. Salmon, the reinforcement. Great ball towards Guest. And equal to it, John Hall at the other end with a big save of his own. Quick counter-attacking football from the Cannons, and they carve out a corner.
That's going to be the danger for Dandy. The more numbers they commit forward in search of an equaliser, the more spaces they leave, and it's a big stop from Hall, who's got the cap back on. Clear, a real factor.
What can conjure up from this delivery? It's flung in towards the central region of the box, arriving basically outside of the real vast vicinity of the box was Tratt, and well, they've made a meal of that entirely there, Oakleigh, but they will get a corner by that deflection. It's rather strange. It just managed to bobble all the way out to the centre half. It was not really in prime position.
Alex Salmon's going to take this one. Usually he's on the end of deliveries. He's taken it short. Kind of back for Joe Guest. Swivels back onto his left, tees it up for Salmon. Another looping cross to the far post. In a similar fashion to how they opened the scoring, but John Hall was alive to that one that time. High ball for Exidius. Trap heads away. Hampson, very calmly done. Such an experienced Oakleigh squad. And now Salmon has timed his run to perfection. Alex Salmon across the box and no one arriving in time. Wellsmore will pick it up on the far side. Chops onto his left. Valentini trying to climb all over Jack Webster. And with a big appeal to Yanni Zizis, does win the free kick. You can almost hear him barking that from all the way over in our commentary position. Jack Webster, his voice carries.
Wouldn't want to give him a microphone, that's for sure.
He doesn't need one.
It's great forward craft from Salmon to just linger off out wide, time his run to perfection. Hadn't managed to have the ball set up after the first touch upon that attacking scenario. As he's lurking there, will find possession.
I think he expected to get that.
Brecevic, I don't think he was really anticipating much either, as it's headed intelligently back towards Boyce. Long searching pass with Wellsmore as the target, and he's in the full length of his box is the keeper.
John Hall's put the hat on, he's taken it off, he can't decide.
There's things going on all over the park as Webster searches for Iaconis. Provides some form of threat, and Hampson on that occasion wins out individually. Zidius will have possession. We'll opt to keep it alive. And Dandy City with some intent. Iaconis edge of the box, takes a tumble. Perhaps the away fans just cheering for what would have been a very strange call. Very soft if that matter. And was the first half of this elimination final fizzles out.
There was an appeal from somewhere in the ground, but it definitely didn't come from the pitch.
The appeals will go quietly on into the afternoon, but Kim hasn't really had much of an influence. It's personified in that heavy touch which goes right out of play, and it's rather wasteful from City. They've had, as you mentioned, not many moments to do something with real tangibility.
And that one chance off the corner, and Lambertarides got free. I look back at it, he lost his marker if he had one in the first place, and they were defending zonally at the near post, Oakleigh, but not attacking that ball. Thank their lucky stars. Crossbar came to the rescue, almost came off the corner of post and bar, inches away from an equalising goal. Dandy City have had precious few other opportunities. And Webster in a shouting match with Alex Salmon.
It's quite the individual contest. We'll see play out throughout the duration of the game. But
two canny operators who've played in the English lower leagues. Still, the debate goes on about where the free kick will be taken from. Webster has joined the attack now. Webster wrestling with Hall. Exidius with the long punt forwards, and Webster overzealous. And the two-handed shove on his marker gives away a free kick.
I understand the intent, just got to remain a bit disciplined, especially if you're the captain.
Well, he's such a canny operator, I wouldn't bet against it being a bit tactical, just to rev up his teammates, get a bit of blood flowing in this contest for Dandy City. Valentini with a chance now, drills it in low, Webster in the way. High one for Kubalay. McGilt will reel it in.
So far, how important has McGill been for Oakleigh? So instrumental in the midfield, of course, providing that beautiful assist. He's just orchestrating this side, and when they transition into an attack like such as Boys, that's nice towards Guest. A chance opening up for the Cannons. Guest's cross towards Salmon, won't reach. With Webster getting in the way. That's a major collision. A reach for the pocket, and it will be yellow. It looks rather dangerous, and it's McGill, the man aforementioned, who's in a world of discomfort. You mentioned the blood needing to rush for Dandenong City, and that was a rush right to the head of the red mist.
Oh dear. Tom Yiannakopoulos very fortunate. That card wasn't a darker shade. Oh, he's shown the stud there. Tried to pull out of it at the last moment, perhaps. McGill basically kicking into his studs. That's a painful one. Jack Webster relitigating some of the earlier decisions. And there's an injury problem here, but it's not Cam McGill who's down. It was earlier in the piece. That looks like Brodie Boyce, who's in a bit of discomfort on the far side.
The way in which the official reached for his pocket, you felt as if that was going to be a rather darker colour that was going to come out. So he's quick onto it. Was the man in charge, but the distance could be promising for Oakleigh from this dead ball.
So one of those statement yellows, you know, you've got to give it a bit of theatre, a bit of authority, send a shiver down the player's spine as they wonder what colour it's going to be. Chance for Salmon, or perhaps even Connor Hampson, to try their luck. 3 minutes plus stoppages to play in the first half. Connor Hampson is going to limp off at the far side for a moment. 4 in the wall for Dandenong City. It'll be Alex Salmon, takes the deflection, and it takes it all the way in. And the NPL Victoria's leading marksman delivers yet again. 17 goals this season for Alex Salmon. That one with an aid of a deflection, and there was little that John Hall could do. Oakleigh 2 to the good in the elimination final. And that one is an absolute sickener for Dandenong City. Where do they go from here?
There's never an ideal time to concede, but Nick Tolios will be pulling his hair out, considering right on the cusp of half-time. It's a whole different team talk you feel now. You could say it was mounting from Oakleigh. They had firm grip on the contest. It's cruel for John Hall in goal. Simply nothing he could do following the deflection. But Oakleigh have intent to venture forward yet again. It's Webster under some duress. Valentini won out on that occasion and gets right into the grills of Webster. Conversations and pleasantries exchanged. But not the ideal time for Dandenong City to succumb to their second goal conceded. Really wonder how they're going to try get a grip on this contest in the half to follow. But
I think that missed call on Atherinos just a moment or so ago was the first blot on Yanni Zizis' copybook this afternoon. He's managed the game really well. It's been aggressive at times, but Dandenong City should have had a free kick there just inside the opposition half. In my opinion, anyway.
As McGlip gets a touch, very deft. Full onus now on the fourth official out of Lucas Mattia to show how much at a time will be prescribed at the end of the first half as Webster will venture with a long ball. Trap will rise and head away. McGlip, so instrumental so far. Valentini. Well done, Exidius. Upon his right full-back position, visible in the more advanced area, Kim. A ball out wide. That's Lino who's going to have to really run onto it. He keeps it within his jurisdiction.
2 minutes up on the board. Added on at the end of this first half. It's 2 goals the deficit for Dandenong City.
It's Lino's cross. There's a fine shape on it. It was not exactly dealt with adequately, and no one was arriving at the back part of the box. Atherinos gets his cross away. It's promising, and it's a big save. Nick Feely makes a save, but the official has indicated a stoppage in play.
I think it wouldn't have counted from the sounds of things.
Was there a flag or was there something?
I think he's picked out a foul in the middle of the box there, Yanni Zizis. So you can see where the restart's being taken from.
And Invincible Nick Feely was rather unfazed as he had to deal with that cross that came in. As Webster was back to his keeper, and that personifies Dandy City's opening half. John Hall out of frustration, just launching.
Yeah, just a
clearance.
A little shove in the back on Jacob Tratt, which is well spotted by the official.
Still time, the dying embers of this first half, for Oakleigh to find something. Perhaps it's a nice looping ball. It's well dealt with by Brecevic, but it's kept alive by Salmon. Low cross, Brecevic here to get in the way. Is there a last counter-attack in the offing for City? Tratt is going to bounce fortuitously for him. McGlip in that wide area to receive. I believe he might be fouled. Oakleigh will have the free kick, and you feel as if that's the last knockings off the first half.
Oh, they've just got to regain their discipline here, Dandy City. They're rattled as the halftime whistle goes. Too many fouls given away, too many temper flare-ups. And they need to regain their composure. Tiani Zizis gives us a bit of a juggling show to end the half. Well, it's been a textbook display from the Oakleigh Cannons. Quiet match early on, but they picked their way through. Emlyn Wellsmore crashing in at the back post with the header off a fine Cameron McGilt cross. And then Alex Salmon from long range with the aid of a deflection off the wall, scoring from that free kick to give Dandenong City a mountain to climb in this second half. Adam Palombi, what can Dandy City do from here to get back into the contest? It's a tough ask against a very strong Cannons outfit.
They might need another coronation from the King himself. King Kenyathi, if he has any involvement this afternoon, come off the bench and will have his influence and polarise his side and getting back on level terms. He feels if Nick Tolios will resort to his bench in this second half. Something drastic has to be done, you feel.
Wow, big half-time coming up for Nick Tolios and Dandenong City. The newly promoted side find themselves behind at the break. Josh Parrish here with Adam Palombi at Jack Edwards Reserve. At half-time, it's Oakleigh Cannons 2, Dandenong City 0. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the second half at Jack Edwards Reserve. In this elimination final, Oakleigh Cannons in the driver's seat, leading 2-0 over Dandenong City. My name is Josh Parrish. Adam Palombi with me on this glorious Melbourne afternoon. As we get back underway, Oakleigh with that 2-goal cushion, looking very comfortable, although one big scare at 1-0 with George Lambatterides crashing a header against the crossbar from a Dandenong City corner. So they're not out of it yet, Hajduk. A newly promoted side who've made NPL Victoria history by getting this far. But it is a big, big hill to climb in the second 45 as Hampson sends that one long into the box and Stefan Brecevic puts his foot through the ball and sends it into the building site.
Nearly took out a construction worker. Thankfully he's got the hard hat on, because Brecevic by no means was mucking around, and Dandy City can't exactly do the latter in this second half. All chips on the table. They must go all in, you feel. Don't believe there has been a change to speak of yet for either side. But a full spotlight perhaps ready to be displayed for King Kenny Athiu if he's to have any involvement, as early on are the Cannons trying to find something tangible. Webster's going to loft. His header goes sideways. Lino happy to squander a clearance. Nice touch out wide now for Boyce. He crosses towards the back post where Valentini might have been waiting. As Hampson, McGill out to Salmon, but the ball will fizzle out of play.
Well, you've spoken about Kenny Athiu as an option. I want to put forward Brad Plant as well, whose scoring record is quite remarkable. He's only made 6 appearances this season. 5 of those have come off the bench, and he scored 4 goals. So, a very efficient scorer. His goals per minute ratio must be up there with some of the best in the competition. So, a big option for Nick Tolios as he is on the bench today. He's missed a lot of football this year, the Englishman. He's a key part of their side that won promotion from VPL 1 last year, coming across from Scarborough Athletic in the UK. Salmon into space for Valentini. Gets the drop on Webster. Valentini to the byline. And Brecevic getting his body in the way. McGill waits for Hampson to deliver. Guest was in there. Jackson Lino half cleared, only as far as Salmon, who blasts high and over the crossbar.
Uncharacteristic, you could make the argument.
Yeah, he was off balance running away from goal, but Alex Salmon has scored from more improbable positions than that.
It's pretty much gone all the way back to the CBD, that ball. That along the... They ran out of playing surface there, and Webster couldn't find a forward teammate, and you just have that question mark remain around Dandy City. What can they conjure up? It's very early stages, but already Oakleigh have been imposing. They're having chances on goal, and Valentini is rather busy as he gets his foot in the way of an intended clearance. Hampson does well on his left side, back in possession. Interplay between himself and Kalubale, who hits the turf. As the official calls for a free kick, and we're immersed in some commentary company with Josh and I. We've got Steve Curtin and Lockie Flanagan. I offered to give them a headset, but they refused as that ball's been flung in, and John Hall with no cap on take the clunk and will search long. No mucking around. He's gone with a long ball, and it's going to sit up nicely for Dandy City. They just couldn't keep it alive, but that's where they want the ball to be contested in, you feel. Try and keep the contest compact.
It's a big week for Oakleigh. They've got an Australia Cup tie coming up this Wednesday night against Heidelberg at the home of the Matildas. So it'll be interesting to see how Chris Taylor manages the squad as Jackson Lino cops a bit of contact, and Yanni Zizis happy to wave for the advantage. Could be a 3-day turnaround for the Cannons if they get through to a semi-final. Be a tough ask against Avondale. And they, of course, did beat Avondale to make it to the national rounds of the Australia Cup. And then knocked off Sydney FC for the second time in cup football.
Casually knocking off the reigning champions.
Oh, it's a head knock for Webster. They're going to have to stop this. Accidental just went into Salmon, and Yanni Zizis bringing play to a halt.
He's adamant to make it not look like it's phased him. Jack Webster, just a testament to his character. He refused to show any sign of weakness there, the captain. In a scenario which was fully fitting to be in pain. It's a head knock, like you mentioned, Josh. And
I think most players hit the deck in that situation, but Jack Webster's made a sterner stuff.
He's caught upon there and routinely clears towards the fourth official.
Left a little bit on Salmon there on the follow through. Totally legal, of course, but Alex Salmon, Carlisle man, shakes it off. It's been a very interesting duel between those two premier talents in this competition. Kubalay helps it on. Boyce. Salmon tried to dummy it, but got a piece of it. And now Iconis trying to chase down Jordan Hall. Nick Feely has to be alive, and is. Will drop for Brecevic. McGill.
Thunder incoming. No, not yet.
Off his non-preferred. Gets it away far enough. Kubalay. Valentini is offside. Oh, he's just a metre or two behind the last defender there. No appeal against the decision, but rather disappointed that the service didn't come earlier.
Great touch. Required and executed by Bauer. Edge of the box. Now remains City. Bauer hasn't really got too much of a forward option, so has to recycle, but they'll keep possession here. Dandy City. Webster stretches out wide. Zidis, fine cross, a chance for City! Dandenong Iconis draws one back. Nick Tolios' side have a pulse in the elimination final. And that's exactly what they needed coming into the second half. They draw one back right when it matters.
Oh, game on. Damien Iconis has barely had a sniff in front of goal today, but the one chance that fell to him, he buried. Well created as well. Recycled from left to right. Fine delivery and a thumping header.
How can that polarise Dandy City in their quest to make a semi-final? They've pulled one out the fire as Brecevic searches forward. Iconis had it within his jurisdiction momentarily. Ball up in the air. Now Guests do well to bring it to the deck. Valentini trying to breeze past Kim. Webster has the ball chipped towards Zidius, who couldn't keep it within his control. Quite the delivery from the fullback. Put on a platter for Iconis. There's nothing in which Nick Feely could have done to prevent it from going in.
Well, we spoke about Cam McGilt's silver service in the first half for Oakleigh, and then James Exidius has produced a ball of similar quality. That could give Dandenong City the burst of confidence that they need as much as anything.
Those immersed around us in the stands, just trying to avoid that very lofty clearance, which is causing some turmoil momentarily, as Wellsmore through the gates of Lino. Brecevic, it's his second attempt of trying to falcon someone in the crowd, and they applaud the man taking the mark.
See if someone needs a backup goalkeeper next season. Nice little audition there.
Fine handling as Salmon, Wellsmore, flag will go up. Cross with real intent towards Valentini. It's a bit of promise just brewing around Dandy City. They haven't had exactly a clear-cut chance. One time they did, they scored, Josh, and a potential grandstand finish on the cards if they can draw level. They have a lot of time to do so.
Well, Now, for the neutral, that goal has made this game just so much tastier. It looked like Oakleigh were in cruise control, but Dandy City have shown there's fight left in the 6th place side. They've defied the odds already this season. First side since Northcote to play finals football the season after being promoted to the top tier. It's been 14 years since the team has achieved that feat. Webster. Kim helps it on. Kubalay in the way. Kim sliding in. Brilliant tackle. And Webster. It's picked off by McGill. Valentini into the feet of Guest. Valentini gets the return ball. It's Salmon who's been forced wide. Wellsmore sees his shot charged down. And Dandy City live to fight another day. Bauer holds off Boyce. Tratt sliding in. The chase is on now for Connor Hampson, who's going to get there first. McGill slid it through. Then Hampson, Alex Salmon was free and clear. And Connor Hampson couldn't pick him out. And now there's an injury. Well, this is an interesting one because Oakleigh opted not to put the ball out of play when their own player was injured. And Dandy City come the other way. It's not a head knock. And the player's been stopped. I think Dandy City have every reason to be irritated there. There's a bit of a double standard at play.
Well, that scenario that just occurred, there was a lot to unpack there, Josh. Yellow card will be issued to Giannakopoulos. That's his 2nd yellow. He couldn't keep his tongue in his mouth and has sent down to 10 men at Dandy City just when it looked like they were slightly gaining some momentum in the contest. Giannakopoulos has been shown his marching orders. How that can change the complexion of the contest. It was end-to-end. It was really opening up just before the stoppage in play, with chances at both ends. And Giannakopoulos, Josh, that's not what you need to do when you're on a yellow card.
Well, I think it's for the challenge, Adam. I think Yanni Zizis has had a shout from his assistant on the far side, because it is Giannakopoulos who makes the tackle on McGill, and he does stud him, and it's 2 challenges on the same player.
Such a delay though, Josh.
Well, usually you don't play advantage if you're going to send somebody off, so
that's why you felt there's a bit of a wait. But well, that's going to have some implications on this bout.
I don't think Yanni Zizis was planning to produce the 2nd yellow until his assistant must have got in his ear. Now Will Bauer is brought to the ground, and there's another card. Wellsmore this time goes into the book.
It's really opened up, hasn't it?
Oh dear. Well, Tommy G, such an important piece of the puzzle for Nick Tolios. Whether he's in central defence or holding midfield, he's been a cornerstone around which this finals charge has been built. A very controversial moment. At least we assume it's for the tackle, Adam. As you say, it could have been for dissent, but we're not privy to that in this distance. The fact that he was the player who tackled McGill, and it was a bad tackle. It was a late one. Seems to suggest that Yanni Zizis, maybe a word from his assistant, viewed that as worthy of a second booking. The short-handed Dandy City with the free kick. Atharinos, well, had a nice shape on it, but the dip and the bend came too late.
Why not put your ticket in the raffle? It's the only way you can win it. Atharinos, you must applaud him for attempting that chance on goal from the free kick. The dead ball was there to be struck, and you cast your mind back to the likes of Dimitri Payet at West Ham back in 2016 at the Boylan against Crystal Palace. Of similar shape, similar destination, but not the same result. Imagine he'd managed to find the top right corner to draw it to 2-2 with 10 men, how that could have changed the game. And Oh, you feel City will have to rely on a moment of complete lapse in concentration from Oakleigh as they look to put this one beyond doubt. Walsmore, Guest rather will chase. It could be another. It is another. Webster's been sent his marching orders. Stall warnings have sounded in the cockpit for Dandy City. It's gone from bad to worse. They had 10, now they have 9 without their captain. Jack Webster to hand the armband to one of his players. He's gone down to the tunnel. And it's really fallen apart for Nick Tolios and his side.
Well, they can really have no complaints, certainly about the second red card. Jack Webster had to win the ball, or he was off. Down to 9. And they're still in on the scoreboard, but surely that puts paid to Dandy City's hopes of a semi-final. It's going to be almost impossible with 10, but 2 players short. It has just unravelled so quickly for Dandenong City.
Oakleigh may look to make a statement here, Josh. They've got the numbers. They've got all their attacking arsenal still on the pitch.
And Alex Salmon has already scored from a similar distance. He's not going to take this one. It's Hampson to strike! Oh, it was flashing just a whisker wide. Just curved away late. And that would have been thank you and good night for Dandenong City. Double change incoming. What do you do as a coach in this situation with 9 players? Nick Tolios has no choice but to push his chips into the middle of the table, and it's Brady Quinn and Brad Plant who's got that incredible goal scoring record, 4 goals in 6. And he's only started 1 game. High one for Hampson. Oh, it's a bad backward header, and Nick Feely is left stranded, and Jacob Tratt made up the ground and did enough to put Damien Iaconis off.
There's that moment, Josh. And Dandy City were nearly clutching it with 2 hands. Brilliant defending from the cannon to prevent what could have been an equaliser from absolutely nowhere. How the ball hasn't gone in, we won't know. Keeper left in no man's land following a bad back header towards his vicinity. And that is stupendous defending from Jacob Tratt.
Oh, horror moment for Hampson. He's been so good today. Would have undone a lot of his good work. Will Bauer and Tim Atharinos have both gone to the bench to make way for Plant and Quinn. Sort of a formation of Dandy City play here. It looks like 4-2-2. Just not often you say that.
Enjoy it for all you can. But
2 in midfield, 2 up top.
Roll the dice, you might as well. That back 4 might become a front 4, depending if the scoreboard can say the same.
Well, they say it's harder to play against 10 men sometimes. I don't think it's harder to play against 9.
Brechovic is currently the sole man in what was usually a back duo, back centre partnership, and both ends there's mistakes that are occurring in abundance. That would have been one of the most opportunistic goals in which Alex Salmon could have added to his ever-growing record. Not sure would have been the prettiest of the bunch, but well, doesn't matter how you score them as long as you do.
And John Hall, the most relieved man. Jack Edwards, after that clearance, is charged down.
For a brief moment there, Josh, Dandy City thought they had Oakleigh just panicking following that defensive calamity as Valentini off the back of a back heel will stroll into space. 3 against 2 for Oakleigh to pick apart Dandy City, and Valentini perhaps overcooking in the kitchen. Usually quite the chef in which he is to culminate a chance, and well, he made a complete meal of it there, didn't he?
Cutback was on for Guest. You just thought it was a formality, and that was 3-1 Oakleigh, but not so. Paul just kicks it keeper to keeper.
Usually straight out the training ground, those kinds of moves. It's the most ideal for an attacker.
Lambatarides did well to block the angle, but really, Valentini should have done better. Wellsmore. McGill. Oakleigh overwhelmed Dandy City with numbers. 2 red cards for the visitors. Valentini, Hampson. Checking inside and out. Connor Hampson. Ball stays in play. McGill coming across to assist. Joe Guest. Salmon flicks it through. Valentini. This should be 3. It's wide. Well, the goalkeeper getting a fingertip to that one. And Oakleigh have had so many chances to bury this game. You imagine the chances are going to keep coming, but Dandenong City living on the edge.
They're staring down the barrel at the moment. Valentini had his hands on his head. He couldn't believe he hadn't scored. I feel like he'll have a chance to rectify. There's a corner to be flung in for the hosts. Low delivery. Salmon had an initial touch. It's Iconis against the world, and Brecevic launches up into the sky. Glance, trying to get underneath it, is headed away by Boyce. Now Brecevic, of course, he's solo and what usually is a duo of that centre-half partnership. We'll try to find one of the shirts that Dandy City boast on the park. It's cut off by Boyce. Guest over the top towards Valentini. Controls nicely. Beyond the centre half is Valentini. He went unselfish towards Salmon. The flag's gone up, and yet again, too many chefs in the kitchen make bad broth. Josh.
Well, Steph Valentini has had chance after chance. Alex Salmon's been shown a yellow card there for maybe something he said or going in late on the goalkeeper.
Can't afford to do much, silly. Chris Taylor will hope to have that message sent across, you'd assume, considering the way it's looking in this contest. It's all but likely that they've punched their tickets to the semi-finals. Of course, still 34 minutes left of regular play to occur, but don't want your players being carded in these stages where you pretty much have the game wrapped up.
This is Wellsmore going at Lino again. Really, Oakleigh just needs to play a numbers game here, keep the ball for longer. Get the fullbacks forward to overlap, and they should have too much for Dandenong City. There's no one really to track back on the fullbacks. Kim, only as far as Hampson. McGill keeps it off Iconis. Oh, Salmon's touch was too heavy. Brecevic couldn't clear. And now Salmon is offside again. Ref's going to wave advantage, but it wouldn't have counted from Alex Salmon. Lambatarides, who started the game in attacking midfield, is now playing central defence. That's how it's gone for Dandy City in this second half. It's not the first time he's played there. He's the deputy in that Bentley run to the Doherty Cup final. This is Wellsmore. Oh, there's a free man at the back post in Joe Guest, but they couldn't find him. Salmon keeps it off Brady Quinn. McGill seems to have all the time in the world, Cam McGill. Guest. Chance for Hampson to measure the cross. Kubalay! What a save! Well, John Hall will take a bow. Ollie Kubalay thought he'd scored. And instead, he's in a bit of pain after the collision with Lino.
John Hall, fully courageous, coming across, diving was the keeper to palm it away. And, well, if there's any percentage of an improbable comeback in which Dandy City have, it's being held intact by their keeper currently.
Wellsmore. Plenty to aim for in the box. They can't mark everybody here. Wellsmore towards Salmon. Brecevic with Zar. Plant, and then Iconis with a good win, and they had numbers for a moment there, Dandy City. Well, their forward forays are going to be few and far between at this point, but they do still have to try and go for the game, as Kenny Athew prepares to make his bout. It's Jake Noble as well. Now, double change on. And Damien Ikonis is going to be replaced. So too, Stefan Brešević. We'll see what this means for the lineup in the back line, but it's a straight swap up top with King Kenny coming in for the goal scorer, Ikonis. He's worked so hard today. Got his goal to give them a sniff. Looks like a straight swap in central defence.
I feel as if Dandy City, just noticing Nick Feely, it's not off his line entirely, and of course plays at the halfway mark of the playing surface, but perhaps they have to channel their inner Sabit Ngor and try and attempt all the way from downtown. You really scratch your head as to how they're going to try and carve out a chance, but Athiu pinches the ball. This might be that moment for Dandy City. They line up towards goal, and the effort was not really dispatched with too much venom. Early implications for King Kenny's come on, and well, he's just notified the Cannons defence that he's got intent to play. As Salmon trying to run into some space, couldn't do so. Noble looks for Kenny Athiu, and that would have been some way to stamp your arrival to the contest for the King.
Oh, Brad Plant as well. It would have been 5 and 7 if he'd found the corner. Boyce. Wellsmore, no way past. Substitute Jake Noble. Oh, 20 more minutes for Dandenong City. Salmon, what a back heel. Wellsmore. Exidias in bravely and away from trouble. Kubalay. Plant got a foot to the ball. The 9 men of Dandenong City battle on. Question of a foul throw there from Brodie Boyce. Don't see that paid too often. Dandenong City have made 4 changes. Oakleigh yet to go to their bench. Chris Taylor doesn't like to change things when they're going well.
Question marks around Chris Taylor. What do you sort of expect from your side, given that you're leading by a goal, you've got an extra 2 players? As Athiu wanted to go towards some space, but that point of just, do you set out to make a statement? Do you continue firing on all cylinders? Or do you just take your foot off the gas? Just keep yourself rather composed, calm. You know the job's done. It'd be very unlikely that Dandy City are to find an equaliser.
I think Chris Taylor is a coach who'll just trust his players to work it out on the pitch. He's got leaders out there. Joe Guest wearing the armband. Such experience, and they may as well.
I feel like that's a consensus on those representing Oakleigh on the playing surface. There's the jobs you can assume is done, of course. Never say never in football, but
just play it patiently, but they will look for that 3rd goal to kill off the contest.
There's Wellsmore, edge of the box, ventures more centrally. Guest has time to get his shot right. He had Valentini also as a far option.
Oh, Valentini's in acres of space there, but Joe Guest opted not to use him.
Don't think Stefan will find such space like that ever again in his career as Guest. Salmon, they're queuing up. Can Guest get his shot away? He chips towards Valentini. As the keeper will try search for Athiu, who's the isolated target for City.
John Hall lost his standing foot there on the release and went for a 6er. He's had a busy afternoon. Flagged it early that he was going to be busy. I don't know if we thought he'd be this busy. Brady Quinn has to stop and prop and wait for an option. Don't wait for an overlap, my man. It's not coming.
This is from someone in the stands, of course, who've said at Heidelberg. Their major supporter. Get his name when it's required, but I'm sure you've seen the clip of him running up and down Olympic Village in support of his Heidelberg team that was playing that occasion, but they can't find an overlap for Dandy City as Athiu, former Heidelberg custodian in his own right, just dispossessed. It's Wellsmore. Oakleigh. Wellsmore's gone down off the ball. It continues with Valentini. At the back post is McGlip, all on his own. Valentini fires right towards John Hall, and still on the turf remains Wellsmore.
Well, again, it's the same situation. Well, the last one led to a red card, but there is maybe a head injury, so you do have to stop it in that case.
Well, Athiu was involved with Wellsmore. He had rather quite a smile towards him, so I don't think Athiu believed it was rather. What's the word? It's rather bad what he'd done there. It was not sinister. At least that's what the thoughts were of Kenny Athiu. And well, Wellsmore has not gotten up. He's enjoying the sun on the turf. Or is he? There might have been actually, Josh, looking at it now. Potentially his eye might have been what is causing such discomfort. Of course, it was involuntarily done by Kenny Athiu. Don't feel it was done in any ill form of nature.
It looked pretty innocuous, I think, but Wellsmore still in some discomfort, and if it is a head injury, if it's an eye injury, you still have to stop the game. Maybe a cheekbone.
Oakleigh Cannons medical personnel will attend to Wellsmore as fourth official just stunts his return to the playing surface. I feel like he'll be reintroduced right now. There he goes, he's back on. So for what was a mere 5-6 seconds, Oakleigh had one less player in the park, but much of Wellsmore not being on, and John Hall will send long. Athiu trying to control it, but lost it in the sun. Lino progressed forward as there's one for those in the stands.
You need a couple of simultaneous injuries to level the numbers, even temporarily.
Simply need a miracle, Dandy City.
Well, they've competed pretty well with 9, I have to say. I mean, Oakleigh have had a couple of chances to polish off the game, but Dandy City have kept fighting. That's a bad tackle. And it has the Dandy City bench on their feet. A yellow card shown to Brody Boyce. And I guess such is the spirit of the afternoon and the intensity and aggression that this game has been played with. Any foul in front of the dugout, especially one that is worthy of a card, it's going to lead to some outrage. Oh, some of Yanni Zizis's paperwork has gone flying in the wind.
Toyos, very cordial, and just handing it right back to the official, but they need a miracle, and you feel as if this could be that moment in which they simply require. They're not out of the contest in terms of the scoreline. They're heavily undermanned, but they have a chance from a dead ball. Kim will whip it in. It assumed Athiu and Lino will be the targets. Kim's delivery props up a chance with a header. Had arrived, and Nick Feely had to be called upon, and he answered promptly.
Again, it's Lambatarides who threatened in the first half from a set piece. One was on target that time. Brilliant stop from Feely. Dandy City look to mount an unlikely comeback. Kenny Athiu rising highest. Ball falls for Oakleigh as Salmon is forced to double back. Hampson spots the long option in Guest. It's still Joe Guest. Waits for the run of Steph Valentini. Struck it clean and true. And it's beaten away at the near post by John Hall.
He felt as if Valentini was going to go across the keeper. Opted for his near post, and John Hall equal to the measure, but an opportunity at the other end for Dandy City.
And another injury complaint for Oakleigh as Connor Hampson is in some pain. Physio has to get across the pitch again.
Been busy today. Their physio, he's had a few jostles out onto the pitch. So you can see a couple of Oakleigh Cannons from the bench look to enter the fray shortly. Kuzimovic, one of those, and the latter will be Adus.
Adus, who has only scored once in the league this season, but scored a few times in the Cup on their way to the Doherty Cup final. Well, he's the last player that you want to see coming off of the bench when you're out on your feet. You've got 9 players. Minibatis is probably the quickest player in the competition. He has wheels on him, so if they leave space in behind Dandy City, he is going to eat that up. Oakleigh will wait to make the change. Corner incoming. Floating delivery. Tratt heads across goal. And now McGill gets it back off Wellsmore, but it's Brady Quinn quickest to the ball and takes on McGill. Great footwork from Brady Quinn, and he will get the free kick.
Kenyatta just gesturing. That should be a card towards the official. And there's your substitutes. Kuzimovic will take to the playing surface.
Well, it's Kai Hampson who's coming off, so it's not exactly a straight swap. And Alex Salmon has run his race for the afternoon as well. So I think Emlyn Wellsmore is going to have to drop into left back to finish the match. He's so versatile. And Salmon with a few words of wisdom for Minibatis. So Valentini to the right, Adus to the left of the attack, and Kuzimovic will play up top. Flicked on by Athieu. Feely with a comfortable claim. Valentini. Oh, no way past Jake Noble. Oh, he's looking for a teammate in the middle, but scuffed it. Oh, and then Valentini, was that a handball on the deck? It is. Dandy City on a card on the bench. Well, they're not giving up the fight.
Their away support is vocal. They sense it yet again from this set-piece opportunity. They might just break level. It's all but improbable, but Josh, if they can pull this off, it would be something ever so memorable.
I think it's a yellow card for Dandy City's assistant coach, as far as I can tell, for their protests off the bench. No, he says it's putting a stop to that. No, Jake Noble is going to take this free kick. Dandenong City looking to do the improbable here. Headed across towards Kim. And then Lino was in there. Plants. They're underneath it. And Oakleigh will come out with the ball. Dandy City are going to make their final change. Josh Scarlett will come on for Danny Kim. So they've emptied the bench. That's everything they have. Ah, the backup goalkeeper. Noble. Good distance on the throw. Athieu with the flick. Plants. Oh, very smartly back towards Athieu, but didn't quite come off. Quinn chasing it down. Didn't give Minibatis a chance to stretch those legs. Scarlett with his first touch. I mean, even if Dandenong City can equalise, then what? 30 more minutes with 9 men. I guess you cross that bridge when you come to it. Meanwhile, Oakleigh with a chance to seal it. Kuzimovic, lovely weighted ball in behind. Adus across the face. No, he goes for the near post. Stefan Valentini was in the middle, waiting for a tap-in. And Minibatis went for goal and missed his mark. just waiting for him to square it or at least shoot for the far post and for a rebound.
The ever such slight opportunity still somewhat remains alive for City. Oakleigh haven't killed off the contest. Lena to Matthew. Out wide towards Plant. Cross is tame. But it's City who are mounting the chances despite all odds. 2 less players. But they still have the fight.
Brady Quinn needs to hit a target in the box there. At least hit the box. That's a cheapie. 5 minutes plus stoppages. There will be some stoppages given the amount of injuries and 2 red cards that we've seen in the second half. What an eventful afternoon at Jack Edwards.
Could you imagine if the visitors draw level? Oh. The scenes that would unfold. Oakleigh have left that door open ever so slightly. Kuzimovic looks to try and close it now, potentially. Guest, they're in options. It's a big save. That was needed yet again by John Hall. He's been a brick wall so far today when called upon. That's well done from the substitute. A turnover, and now Guest has all the time in the world to punt Oakleigh Cannons tickets to the Final Four. That door, well and truly secured, shut now. The Cannons fire their 3rd, deep in the contest, and that has to seal it, Josh.
That has to be that. Well, Dandy City fought bravely with 9 men the majority of this second half, but a giveaway in the back line has been their undoing, and George Lambatarides with a costly error. I think Josh Scarlett had a part to play in that as well. But it was always a matter of time. Oakleigh had so many chances, and in the end it's Mr. Reliable, Joe Guest, who smashes it into the bottom corner. That's 12 league goals this season for him. And they've shot from kickoff, Dandy City. That's how you know you're just about out of ideas. Well, it's been one hell of a ride this season for Dandenong City, who lifted themselves into the finals places, and it's by no means a sure thing for several weeks there at the back end of the campaign, but they got it done.
They certainly could be proud, Josh, of their performance. I mean, not so much, of course, than those that both got sent off, but to make finals is one thing, considering the quality of opposition within Victoria's National Premier League, and to have been promoted in your first proper season back in the top flight to make finals is certainly quite the coaching feat from Nick Tolios.
Especially the circumstances today, it's been tough to imagine any other result. Well, Oakleigh add insult to injury here. It's Stefan Valentini, Kasumovic surely for 4! Oakleigh Cannons bury their 4th goal. It's Asad Kasumovic, and they are well and truly home and into the semi-final against Avondale. They've done it in style. And bodies just strewn over the pitch. Dandenong City absolutely devastated. Something had to give with 11 v 9, and eventually the Cannons proved just too clinical, too gifted off the counter-attack. They're going to make a platoon swap now as we head towards stoppage time. Noah Holmes, Max Bassetto and Jacob Eliopoulos all coming on, and Joe Guest will go to the bench. Oh, Asad Kasumovic was almost toying with the prone goalkeeper there. Silky stuff to feign the shot and put him on the floor.
Insult to injury was a celebration. It's rather amusing from the neutrals. Kasumovic just attempted his best goalkeeper impersonation. It's wow, sort of takes the spotlight away from the goal, you could argue, Josh.
I think he'll be looking to qualify for the Olympic breakdancing with moves like that.
Ray Gunn will certainly, if she's watching, be trembling, noticing that of course, you can't forget Daniel Fabrizio of Altona. He always likes to put on his dancing shoes once he's found the back of the net. Have to try and venture into, of course, the more break-dancing regime, but...
Yeah, it's an injury problem here for Dandy City. They crawl towards the finish line.
Their fans look as if they're starting to just make their way out of Jack Edwards' reserve.
Yeah, and I think they've made all their changes here, so there's every chance they finish the game with 8. It's just been an absolute nightmare. Oh, and 7 minutes up on the board, which I think is the last thing that Dandenong City want to see now.
So what Oakleigh might think they could certainly got enough time to hit 7 on the scoreboard, especially if they're going to have one more number in their favour, considering Dandy might lose another man to injury. And well, there was moments, Josh, we mentioned that throughout the complexion of this contest, where Dandy City simply, they knew they're up against it today. They weren't going to have clear-cut chances, and their half opportunities, they were unlucky to hit the post of Lamberidis to equalise in the first half. They'd lost their heads with Yanakopoulos and their captain Webster, 2 players that we know are rather, the red mist can fly and they get rather lost in the moment.
Well, it's going to be 8 players to finish the game as James Exidius limps down the tunnel. Basically down to a futsal team at this point. Dandenong City, which... Oh, it's Adis bursting down the left. And this stoppage time period is pretty much academic. Oh, he's going to come back on, James Exidius, after all. Playing on one leg for the team. Let's say it's 8.5.
Do appreciate that. Putting it all on the line for the badge, regardless of what the predicament may be. But you feel like it's inevitable, Josh, that Oakleigh find their 5th and have a corner to do so. Many options in the box. And they pick someone out. Lofted cross. Tratt was anticipating Athy will head away. And as they work it out towards Boyce. But you just try and think of what Avondale might currently be thinking watching this contest. Certainly you can't argue it's represented Oakleigh in the best possible way. So you really scratch your head into thinking what I'll be pondering, considering that a Australian Cup clash to occur yet again.
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of balancing the fixtures and the tired legs, I think.
Sidious on half a leg, has to backtrack. Kazamovic will plant his header. And John Hall will save. Got to give some adulation to the Dandy City keeper today. He certainly has been involved. Scoreline not reflective, but...
Well, could have been many, many more if it wasn't for John Hall. Atthew, no.
Trying to find one for the highlight reel, perhaps, was the king himself. We're just waiting for this contest to be all set in stone. There's really nothing in terms of competitiveness really out left to play. I'm sure some Oakleigh Cannons players off the bench will try to find a personal accolade of a goal, but
yeah, and try and give themselves a shout of starting against Heidelberg midweek. They've got plenty of talent on the pine and they may need it in this busy period, although Chris Taylor tends not to rotate if he can avoid it. Lamberidis looking for Lino. Now Bassetto motoring down the right, running out of real estate. Well, Oakleigh are always there or thereabouts. 3 straight Doherty Cup finals, one of which they won against Heidelberg last year. And they're into the semi-finals for the 3rd year in a row as well. They probably would have made it in 2021 if we'd finished the season, so would have been 4. Championship winners in 22. went out against South Melbourne in the semis last year. And this time they face Avondale en route to a grand final. That one should be an absolute cracker. Imagine that will be Saturday Arvo at the Reggio Calabria Club. Whereas South Melbourne will prepare for the visit of Hume City. A side they have a pretty good record against of late. Haydes. It's cut back for Kasumovic. And then Eliopoulos blazes it high and wide. He's scored a couple of goals this year. 2 to his name before struggling with injury issues, and Oakleigh went to the transfer market in the window to get themselves 2 big new shiny centre halves that have served them very well. And Eliopoulos' recent minutes have come off the bench as a holding midfielder.
Still got a chunk of time to play, Josh. 3 minutes was indication from the hand of our man in charge, and it's really hard to pinpoint who's going to take home this year's title. Of course, you can't look past the formidable force of South Melbourne, but with the departure of Heidelberg, who have had their number in recent matches, of course, until the Doherty Cup playoff, but full onus perhaps on Hume to prove a point. Oakleigh certainly looking to climb the summit yet again and claim some more silverware, but it's hard to really take a pick. It's pretty much rock, paper, scissors between the final 4 as Bisetto is looking for potentially their 5th. He goes down on the edge of the box. Or was that inside the box, Josh?
Just outside, I think. James Exidius, who's sprung back to life like Lazarus after looking like he was on his way down the tunnel for a moment, but he didn't have the legs to keep up there. Maybe one last chance for Oakleigh to put a bow on things. We've played 6.5 minutes of the 7 allotted. Kasumovic over this one with 2 in the wall. Kasumovic goes for goal, and John Hall, again, a great take. He's copped 4, but he's actually been outstanding today. It's really difficult to criticise him, given the amount of saves he's made. Haydes. Space to operate in. Holmes. Noah Holmes teeing himself up for a shot. Charge down. And Holmes managing to keep his feet. And Yanni Zizis says that's enough for Oakleigh as they head for the semi-finals for a 3rd successive year. It was emphatic to end with. There were some complications en route, but the 9 men of Dandenong City just couldn't compete in that second half. And their outstanding first year back in the top flight comes to a close. Oakleigh Cannons 4, Dandenong City 1, it's finished, and Oakleigh on their way to a meeting with the Avengers at the Reggio Calabria Club. Avondale stand in their way of a grand final. Josh Parrish here with Adam Colombi. It's been a pleasure to have your company, Adam. I mean, Oakleigh have laid down a marker today, albeit in strange circumstances. Do you give them a shout of knocking off the Avengers next week?
Certainly be a lot tighter than what today's contest was, but they looked a touch indecisive inside their forward chances, and well, of course they got the job done, but considering the damage in which Avondale can cause on the attack and the way they set up structurally in defence, it'd be a lot more of a closer affair, you'd assume, but well, it's going to be quite the turnaround for them. They have the Australia Cup round 16 fixture on Wednesday night at home of the Matildas. They have to now put their minds towards and Heidelberg don't have much to play for, their season practically on the line with the Australia Cup, so he feels as if Heidelberg will certainly give the Cannons a fair bout in that contest, but they could be building late in the season now, Oakleigh.
Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining us here today on the broadcast. Josh Parrish and Adam Palombi signing off as Oakleigh Cannons get it done in style. 4-1 over Dandenong City.